Well, all right, all right, all right. Hello there, tea sippers. This is Big Meat, and I thank you so much for coming on. It's another glorious day, honey. It's a Friday. And you are simply dishing tea, baby, with Big Meat, honey. I thank you all for coming out for this special edition show. I am just in awe right now because I'm relaxing and I'm embracing. I've been on this kick, you know. I've been telling you guys about the new musical that has come forth called Twist. It is a musical adaptation of the Charles Dickens classic Oliver Twist. And I have just been floating on air. I've gone to see the show twice now, and I'm going back again. Oh, God, I'm going back again. And it's a really phenomenal show. I'm going to put out into the omniverse that it gets picked up on Broadway because I can easily see this piece on a Broadway stage, honey, one of the Nederlanders theaters or somewhere on Broadway. And I really, 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 really stand behind this project. It is completely what I call just the tea, honey. It is the tea. Okay. Now, before I get into anything and introducing my guest today, because I'm going to be pressed for time because they're still in rehearsals and they're perfecting the show to get ready for the opening for the 15th of September here in Atlanta. So let me go through this very quickly. First, I want to say a disclaimer. Now, no, I have to do this because, you know, I have a potty mouth and I don't make excuses for it. However, I'm going to do my best to be respectful with my guests. You know, I try to feel their rhythm and things, which I know I get animated. But the show is for mature audiences, and the language and subject matters are not appropriate for children or anyone who does not have the sense or the mature is not mature enough to handle the subject matter. So your listening discretion is advised. Again, your listening discretion is advised. Okay, if you want to join in on the conversation, feel free to do so. You can call in at 347-205-9183. Again, that's 347-205-9183. And a quick shout out to all of my sponsors, and thank you for doing your thing, which allows me to do mine. Trade Day Management and PR Firm. At Trade Day, enjoy a touch of Southern hospitality with a universal appeal for all of your PR and entertainment management needs. Contact Travion Davenport at 678-523-3088. 678-523-3088, or email at tradaypr@gmail.com. Traday, TREADAY, PR@gmail.com. Pharaoh's Treasure Box, fine art, unique jewelry, and sensational 3D silk floral arrangements, creations by Taps. For all of your decorative needs, contact Pharaoh's Treasure Box at 248-688-5178 or 5179. 248-688-5178 or 5179. Or you can email at Pharaoh's Treasure Box at Comcast.net. Pharaoh's Treasure Box at Comcast.net. Parisian Wine Productions, music to lighten your spirits and lift your souls, specializing in gospel and inspirational house and dance tracks. For all of your Christian settings and that Christian social that you like to put together, please contact Paris Hairston. He's the CEO at 347-406-7734, 347-406-7734, or email at paris42268@yahoo.com. paris42268@yahoo.com. Life Fellowship of Christ Ministries, LIFE, Live in Freedom Everywhere. Reverend James Coleman is the leader and founder of this ecumenical social justice ministry, brought forth to free the oppressed and introducing a fresh approach to the Christ consciousness. For more information, contact Reverend Coleman at 313-833-9278, 313-833-9278, or email at mustardcole@yahoo.com, mustardcole@yahoo.com. Each of Vidal Couture. Enjoy high fashion with a luxurious twist. Step into the future with fresh, innovative couture designs by Ms. Michi DeVille. For more information, contact Michi at 313-996-9807, 313-996-9807, or you can Facebook Michi at facebook.com/Michi DeVille, MICHIEEDEVALE. All right, the Big Brothers Network, the BBN, a new online web magazine designed to show the world the class and style of the debonair man of size and his admirers. The first edition was launched this past Memorial Day weekend. For more information or to see the latest edition, go to www.bigbrothersnetwork.com, www.bigbrothersnetwork.com. Also, Kissing After Dark, KISN After Dark on Facebook. They are presenting Lesbian Wednesdays, a hot lesbian and bi-curious party in Atlanta, starting every Wednesday. Their kickoff was this past Wednesday, the 8th of September, and every Wednesday at Banana Wind in the Underground Atlanta at 50 Upper Alabama Street, Atlanta, Georgia. For more information, go to Kissing After Dark Entertainment. That's KISSN After Dark ENT on Facebook, or you could Twitter them at Kissing After Dark on Twitter. Okay, and also, let me say thank you to my sponsors at Swirl Film, swirlfilms.com. Honey, they are the #1 urban film production company here in America. They specialize in all kinds of arrangement to take you from the script to post-production of your work. They have all kinds of services for you, including budgeting, script rearranging, producing, videotaping. They can even take your stage play from stage play to DVD. For more information, go to Swirl Films, SWIRLFILMS, swirlfilms.com. So thank you to all of those who may help me do what it is that I do. So now, let me get into the meat of this because, darlings, this young lady that I'm about to bring on has touched me in a way that I did not know, because for years and years we have been listening to her musical compositions and her lyrics and didn't even know it. You know, she is responsible for the McDonald's jingles, honey. Have you had your break today? She is responsible for many, many, many songs, one of which of my favorites is Patti LaBelle's Way Up There. She composed that. She was responsible for a lot of the music and the composition for many albums, including Church, the project that has a lot of the singers, Patti LaBelle, Stephanie Mills, Shaka Khan, Neela Salon, and Patty Austin. Jennifer Holliday is on that as well, where they came together and had taken music and churchified a lot of what is considered to be secular tunes. And then there were some new original compositions on there as well. And Tina is responsible for it. And now my sister has gone on and have created a musical score to this production that has me in arms. I need this soundtrack in my life because it speaks to us in such a way that I think the world should hear. That's why it's got to go on Broadway. So without any further ado, I'm going to have her tell us in her own words how this particular creation came to be. Without any further ado, please welcome, this is the one and only, the grandest composer, honey. This is Miss Tena Clark. Hello there, my darling. How are you?
Hi, Meech.
Hey, baby.
I just love your show. It is fabulous.
Oh, my God. Thank you so much, darling. I want the folks to have a good time with us. And, just being real, honey, you got to give it to them the way it is. It doesn't work unless it's real. You know what I'm saying?
I know. So. And that's what the show is. The show is real.
And thank you.
And I was so
much.
glad to see you there the other night, and I'm so glad to see how much that you love the show, too. So, anyway, thank you for having me on.
Oh, honey, this show here, this show, I'm telling you, it brings Oliver Twist to such an accessible place, you know, to where folks can really understand what the story is. You know what I'm saying? The book is such a hard read, you know, because Charles Dickens is not, he wasn't, you know, he was very prolific in his writing, but God, you know, it's a struggle to get through it.
Well, I heard back then,
when
you know, they got paid. I heard back then they got paid by the word.
Yes,
writers
yes. Yes, you know, so, you know, it's a difficult read, honey. And then, of course, vocabulary back in that time was very elaborate, you know, so you needed a dictionary, you know, to help get through the story and this, that, and the other. And when it was required reading for us in school, you know, that added even more of the hardship of trying to read this book. And now I got to read it, you know. But what you have done with the musical score for this has brought this show to life. I'm telling you, baby, there's a few songs that are my favorites already, and one of the songs that just touches me is Twist's song when he said, well, you know, I know we could have been friends, my best friend. That song, oh my God, I cried on that song.
Something about your eyes when he was
something about
painting on the wall. Yes, yes.
Oh, that one that just touches me so that way. I love Partners in Crime, honey. Now that
they're trying to outdo each other there, as you know, to see who is the baddest, who be the baddest, right? And
I know.
So it's just verbal sparring is what it is, and I just think both of them are so fantastic. And to know that, you know, Matthew, which I'm sure the audience, you know, until they go see it, they won't know what we're talking about right now, but Matthew, who plays Boston in the show, is homegrown, you know, Atlanta, and I just think he's a star. He's fabulous. The women are dying over him, and everybody else.
I am too.
Okay.
He is.
So is everybody. So he is just amazing, and this kid you will definitely see going real far, and hopefully, you know, this show will be a great platform. Is a great platform for him. But we're thrilled to have him, and thrilled that he was cast out of Atlanta.
Oh God, yes. Now you know, let's get into your history because.
It's deep, honey. It's deep.
Well, you know what? I got a little bit of inside information last night.
Oh my God.
But I will want you to tell it though, because you know I want it to be as authentic as your truth is, you know, and I want the folks to understand your history, so that as I'm highlighting the songs of the show, they understand the richness where you come from to compose the pieces. So let's start with your background in this. Give us the Tena Clark overview.
Okay, well, the Tena Clark overview is I was raised in a very tiny little rural town in Mississippi. I've been in L.A. for 28 years now, but I'm originally from Mississippi, and my roots will always be, obviously, the South and Mississippi. My mom was a songwriter in the big band era, and so she was constantly going back and forth to New Orleans, and she was dragging me with her down there at a very, very early age. So I think that's where a lot of my musical roots obviously came from. And then where I grew up was not that far from New Orleans, you know, a few hours, and we would always go down there also as a family, but to my mom just going down to write at the time with the guy who was the orchestra leader at the Blue Room at the Roosevelt Hotel, the famous, fabulous, nostalgic Roosevelt Hotel, which is now obviously reopened again in all of its glory. Actually, I stayed there when we were doing casting, when Debbie and I were doing casting in New Orleans, and it was really like full circle, not to digress there, but to know that that's where it all started for me, and that was my first professional gig was at the Roosevelt in New Orleans at a very early age. I became a musician at 10, and so just to stay there when it had been renovated and know that I was casting the show. One of the places we were casting was there, and to know that I was staying there, I mean, it was really surreal. But that's kind of where it started for me. But I started playing at 10, and I was a drummer, and I write on obviously piano, but I'm not a great piano player. I write with and play with great piano players, but I write enough to I play enough to be able to pick out my chords and melodies and things. But I write lyrics, I write melodies. I'm a musician, and I've never wanted to do or done anything else but be in the music business. I started. I was just somewhat discovered by Stevie Wonder. I was working at Bogalusa in Bogalusa, Louisiana, at the Studio in the Country in the 70s, and met Stevie there when he was doing Secret Life of Plants. And I ended up, he brought me to L.A. to, really for no other reason than to just be mentored by him.
Wow.
And I was in the studio when he cut Hotter Than July, and that was kind of my initiation. And obviously he had always been like one of my very biggest influences and idols, and that was at his height of his heyday. And so it was a fantastic experience. It did not go over well with my father. He did not know who he was, nor did he care.
Wow.
You know,
wow.
There was a race issue, of course,
yes.
back in those days, and he kind of gave me a choice of, okay, if you go to California with this person, or you stay here, or I will never help you out. I'll never be there for you in any way. Well, I went to California, and obviously
okay.
he did not disown me. He did not do that. But those were the times then, and it was like, if it was. But I have to say, it was an incredible experience that molded me and shaped me. And then I came back. I moved to Nashville so that I would really get my writing chops up. And when I was in Nashville, I was taken under the wings of Hal David and Burt Bacharach, who had also played with Dion. And obviously Dion I had grown up, I guess, Meech, really growing up on Ray Charles and Billie Holiday and Nat King Cole and Ella Fitzgerald and Stevie, but in the earlier years it was those artists because that's who my mother would go into. But as I was growing up, I was so inundated with great lyrics and great music by Bacharach and David at the time with Dion, and also a lot of the blues artists and a lot of jazz artists, and I had grown up playing a lot of jazz and a lot of blues and R&B. But what came out of me when I really started writing was just what came out of me, and that was kind of R&B, pop, gospel, etc. And that's why even when I first went to L.A., I went back to, I was in Nashville, and then Hal David took me under his wing, and I moved to L.A., and I started writing for film and TV originally when I went there. But people would think because I had a southern twang that I wrote country music.
Okay.
And it was like, well, no, I know I talk like that, but no, that's not what's coming out of my fingers or out of my soul or out of my heart. So it was really my first hit was Dionne Warwick and Kashif. It was Reservations for Two.
You wrote that?
And but who gave me my first and really my biggest break as a producer, because I also became a producer. When I first went to L.A., you could not get arrested as a female producer, even though in TV and film I produced everything I did, everything I wrote. But like when I would go and pitch my songs, at the various labels at Motown and then Warner's and EMI and everywhere, and they go, oh, we love this song, we want it for so-and-so, or we want it for this artist, or we want it for that artist. And they would say, but who produced the demo? And I would go, oh, well, I did. And they go, oh, well, okay. And they would just brush it off because they did not, there was a big glass ceiling there that women could not produce. And you know who gave me my first break as a producer in the record business? Vesta.
Really?
Yeah, because when Vesta...
Not Miss Once Bitten, Twice Shy.
Miss Once Bitten, Twice Shy, Miss Congratulations.
Miss Congratulations. No.
And so when I started... I had been working with Vesta for a long time in film and TV during those years, and when she got ready to cut her record, she said, I want you to produce, 3 or 4 sides on me. And I said, well, that'll never happen because they won't let me produce. And she goes, well, you are gonna produce my record. So she said at the time to the A&R person at A&M, she said, I want this person to produce 3 or 4 sides. And they said, no, we've already got your producer. And Vesta said, then I'll have laryngitis for the next 5 years because I'm not going to the studio unless you let her produce.
Oh,
and,
wow.
It was really, really an amazing thing for anybody, but especially a woman who was at the time, kind of second behind Janet Jackson at A&M and was a new artist. And that was a very, very bold thing to do. But Vesta did it because she believed in what she and I could do, and that's when we wrote Congratulations. And my neck was on the line, honey, and when finally he said, okay, get this person, Tena Clark, to go in and produce. And the way he said it was like, you girls go play, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And then
y'all go make some cookies or something.
Then we'll get to the real record. So that's where Congratulations came out of, was that kind of moment of do or die. And so, I believed in Vesta so much, and we're still very good friends, and I absolutely adore her. And like I said, I will never forget or never be not grateful for her standing up for me at that time. And then once I had that hit, because I produced that and we wrote it, she and I wrote it, and when after that, then I started getting calls to produce, and then after that, I've produced, as you mentioned before I came on, Patty and Dion and Aretha, and I just did Aretha's the Christmas record. She had never done a Christmas record.
You did that,
And,
okay.
So many of the great female artists, Patty Austin, Gladys Knight, on and on and on and on and on. But just, it opened the door for me to have that respect as a producer. I had the respect as a writer, but not as a producer. So it was, that's how I ended up in L.A., and that's how I ended up as a producer and a writer.
Wow. Now, I'm sitting over here, I'm flabbergasted, right? Because, girl, you just hit me all in my sensitive areas with songs that I know, songs that I adore. Okay.
Thank you.
And it is absolutely a joy to hear, the folks behind it. Because, as someone who adores music and listen, we just know the song, and once it hits, it becomes our jam, our whatever, and part of the collection, but, we don't hear the struggle and the process behind it. Now, I'm still, I'm a classic listener, honey. I'm one who still buys music. I read the liner notes and carrying on. And when I look over, as you're saying this, I'm going back in my head, and I'm surprised because what's in my head is the spelling of your name. And that's how I'm making the correlation. I'm like, this is Tena, because I was always like, I thought you were a guy, actually. As I'm looking over your name, and I was like, okay, And as you're saying this, I'm like, okay, this is you. Oh my God, this is you. And now it's making sense to me now, because when I read the liner notes to see who the background screamers are and who composed and who arranged and all of that, because that's important to me. Yeah, well, it's the work. It's just like being on stage. Yes, we're giving accolades to Twist at how wonderful the music is, but the music wouldn't be as wonderful if we didn't have the producers, if we didn't have the writers, if we didn't have all of the other stuff behind the scenes,
All right, well,
to bring it forth.
This show has been my dream for a very long time, and I had always said that to open this I would have my cake and eat it too if I could open this show in Atlanta, premiere it in Atlanta before hopefully we go to New York, because obviously that's our hope and dream. But to open in Atlanta with Debbie Allen directing and choreographing, because Debbie and I are like, sisters and separated at birth, and we've worked together incredibly, and we've been best friends for a long time. And to know that I could have both, I just feel like I've said this over and over again, I just feel very full right now because I have had my cake and eat it too. And the show is exactly what I wanted it to be, exactly the feel, the choreography, the direction. I mean, she's just a phenomenal director. I think so many people think of Debbie as choreography first, but she's really equally director and choreographer. I mean, to me, she's just as incredible of a director as she is a choreographer. But we just work together like, honey, we just work together seamlessly. I tell people this and they don't believe me, but do you know that Debbie and I, and this is a very intense process, launching a huge show like this, because this show is a very big show.
Yes.
But since the beginning that we started working on this, which was about 8 or 9 months ago, whatever, to launch it not start writing. I've been working on this show forever, but I'm saying from the time we got the invite to open, at the call to open in Atlanta was probably, I don't know, I guess like 9 or 10 months ago.
Oh, wow.
Debbie and I have never had a disagreement. Never. And for somebody to say that, for a composer, lyricist to be working with a director and choreographer and go through this intense process and say we've never had a disagreement is phenomenal. But, I knew that because I just felt like we both respect each other so much, and we both love this show so much that everything that we're doing is for the good of the show.
Exactly. Exactly.
It is the high of my life right now, I have to tell you, because the cast is incredible. Twist, the little boy, Alaman that plays Twist.
Oh, isn't he just
God.
Adorable?
He's everything I ever wanted. Everything I ever wanted for Twist.
Yeah, I could eat him up with a scoop of ice cream. He's just such a little cookie. I said, oh, child, he is he just melts my heart out there. He's so innocent on that stage.
Yep.
And it is so pure, and it's so rich, and he goes over his songs very well, honey. He just has that whole childlike innocence, honey, that just breaks my heart.
And that's who he is. This kid was not like some big actor that came in and got the part, we cast, for this whole cast, we cast New Orleans, Atlanta, L.A., and New York, and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. And, he came out of L.A. He came out of Debbie's Dance Academy, but this was not a kid who had been some big, kid star.
Right.
He has, what you see on stage has blossomed through this show. This is the real deal.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, so it's not only...
It won't be the last time you see him.
With his performance, I would have not known that he's not been, that this is a work in progress with him, because he hadn't. I told him last night when I met him, I was like, oh my God, honey, you are handling this lead very well. It's flooring me, actually, because I'm like, okay, well, I know he has a dossier somewhere, honey. He done been in somebody's commercials, and you know how we get with those child stars and this, that, and the other, kind of like whatever happened to Baby Jane moment when she was a kid, However,
he's very
so
solid,
precious.
and he's got his mom is just incredible, and she's very humble and down to earth and very unaffected by the whole Hollywood thing, and that's what keeps him grounded.
Yeah, which is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Now, you say that this was a labor of love for you for a little minute, and I got some inside information on that, honey, because I was told that, since Cody, your daughter, was 2 years old, that she has been, dancing around and knowing this particular music because you have been molding it and shaping it for so long. So give us that background of how you were developing this concept.
Well, I, was asked a long time ago by someone at Motown who first called me and said, we saw this treatment. It's like a page-and-a-half treatment on this idea of Oliver Twist, and we wanted to talk to you about it. And at the time, I was doing TV and film, and I just said, that's not really my cup of tea. I don't know anything about Broadway. I love Broadway shows, but I don't write Broadway shows. And they said, well, will you just come take a look at it? And I did. I took it with me, and I said, I'll read it. I'll think about it, but I don't think I'm the person for this. And, basically it was just a concept that said, Oliver Twist, based in New Orleans in the 20s during Prohibition instead of London. Twist is mulatto. His mom is from this aristocratic white family in New Orleans, and his dad is a black vaudeville dancer that's fairly regionally successful. They fall in love. They're forbidden love at that time, and they have this and she gets pregnant. They both die in the beginning, and there's his child left, an orphan. And not only is he an orphan during those times or any time, but he's also mulatto in the South in the 20s, and he's not really accepted by either race. And so it was about that's what hooked me, because growing up in New Orleans, and around New Orleans and playing in New Orleans, growing up in the South, being very involved during the Civil Rights era, and then just knowing what it feels like and what it is to be oppressed and feel and be there also during that time with my brothers and sisters in Mississippi and fight that fight and know what oppression is, and knowing that this child is not accepted by anybody. I mean, that's kind of the worst, that's kind of a double hitter right there. And it just stole my heart. And I think it was somewhat, if I wanted to really dig deep, I think it somewhat has a little bit of autobiographical in it.
Okay.
And it was, it really hit a deep chord with me. And that's where I started writing from. And my writing partner is Gary Prim he lives in Nashville, and we've been writing together for about 30 years. And
oh, wow.
I brought him on board, and it's just been an amazing journey. And the journey of all of these pieces started many years ago. Now, there's 7 new pieces that have been written over the past 4 months. And so this has been a journey. It's not been something, obviously, that I have been writing on every day for 20 years, but it's something because, I've had a very busy career in film and television and commercials and records and a company that I own that, I'd kind of just take it out and dust it off the shelf every now and then. But now was the time to launch this. And I felt like that now was the time because 2 things. One was after Katrina, people looked at New Orleans totally different. Instead of a place to go get drunk and, party, it was what was thought about. People thought of it forever. Now it's thought of with an empathy, as the comeback kid, as the city that you want to make it, survive, be resurrected. There's a lot of New Orleans globally. So I thought that was really good for it to be, since it is based there. The other thing is because of Obama. that you actually have a man who came from that elk of, a mulatto, and the awareness there. And I ran into Stevie at a restaurant maybe 6 weeks ago, and he was saying to me that now is the time. He feels like we're running out of time. That now is the time for racial healing, and in the U.S., and that if it's ever going to happen, the real healing is going to happen with Obama in office, and that we need to be doing more. And
exactly.
And he had this great urgency in talking to me about this. And, I feel like that, I'm not trying to it's a great family show, as you know. It's a great feel-good, the journey of love. Love conquers all against all diversity. But at the same time, I think there's a really incredible racial healing message in this as well.
Yes.
And so that's kind of what's, where it started. And yes, my daughter Cody, I could not be happier to be, that she's actually working on the show with me. It's like, this is like a dream come true. She's Debbie Allen's assistant on the show. And it's just been a big, honey, fun family affair.
I love it. I love it. I interviewed Debbie yesterday.
Yes, she told me she
had
a class.
She's a hoot, and I knew she was going to be because she's just a real sister girlfriend, like I told her. And I was sharing with her that the story itself, everybody can relate to the story of wanting to feel wanted and needed. When all of us have gone through that process of self-identity and awareness and looking to find your purpose and, the whole awkward period that most of us go through at puberty, but some of us go through it a little bit earlier because you want to be loved and wanted. And I shared with her, I said, as I am a gay man, the story hit so home for me because watching Twist go through what he goes through. And there's lines in the show, when you're a disgrace, honey, who will sit up there and put something, create something like this? You're not white or black, honey. Nobody wants you. And then one of the songs that he sings, honey, is God, why would you create me a color that nobody loves? I was like, oh!
Yeah, it's a color. That's called a color no one likes. And because that's at the time that he finally, here's this little boy who's got this perseverance inside of him that no matter what anybody says to him or does to him, he keeps his head held high. But at that moment in the show, and we won't give away the show, but when he's just been treated so horribly, is when he starts questioning and he says, maybe they're right, maybe I'm wrong, maybe there is no place where I really belong. And then he starts questioning it, and then the name of the song is A Color No One Likes. Because he does question, I don't really fit in anywhere. So, but why would God make me a color that no one likes? Yeah, it's a tear. That was a tearjerker. Yeah, Meech, I'm a gay woman, and I think a part of that is that, sometimes in our lives that and obviously I don't feel that way anymore and haven't felt that way in a long time, but first growing up and growing up in things, there are times that, that you experience those kind of oppressions and you think, how, God made me exactly who I am and loves me for exactly who I am, and I'm proud of who I am.
Exactly.
Exactly. It is definitely drawn from those experiences, and I don't care if you're black or white or gay or straight or Hispanic or Catholic or Muslim or, Christian, whatever, Jewish, whatever it may be, you have felt somewhat of those feelings before, and I don't think that's the way God intends it. God made us all. God loves us all.
Exactly.
It's what we do with our life that matters.
Exactly. Exactly. And coming into that truth, the journey along that particular truth is what the show shows us with Twisted, what he goes through, and then the people that he comes into contact with. And you have been able to put that. See, I've always said music is God's perfect language. Okay, because we can express in music and through song what we may not be able to share emotionally, because, you know, as a society and humankind is just not ready to deal with those kinds of emotions that raw and that independent. We always need a little piece of help. And music is just God's perfect language for that, because I don't care what it is, there's a song for it somewhere. Okay?
Yeah, exactly.
And here in the show, you have been able to compose and write, you know, such genius with this. And it's so poignant and so real. And it just captures the show. When you first started learning to write for Broadway, first off, what is the difference between writing for Broadway versus, you know, just writing R&B and pop and this, that, and the other? You know, what is that difference for you?
Well, the difference is, I mean, when I started out, I didn't think there was any difference, but there really is, because I guess the overall difference is when you're writing a pop R&B song, whatever, gospel song, rock song, whatever, you are writing a 3.5 to 4 minute, whatever it may be, song. The story is in those 3.5 to 4 minutes, and that's all you have to deal with on the story. When you're writing a Broadway show, you're talking about a 2-hour, 2.5-hour journey, a movie, basically, that the storyline has to be carried through the music. So it's just not like, oh, hey, here's a song. Like in a film, there'll be a song, but it doesn't. It may relate to that moment, literally, from a literal standpoint, and it may not.
Mm-hmm.
But in a musical, baby, I mean, there's very little chance in that show, in any show, where there's going to be very many standalone pieces, and then there may be a piece that kind of sets the tone of a character, so to speak. But most of the time, the music is carrying the story forward. So it is quite different, and it was quite a learning curve. Even though I've always been rogue and pretty much a salmon swimming upstream with pretty much everything I do. But I think now too with musical theater that you have so many shows, like even the way Hair was, but Rent, Spring Awakening. Next to Normal, so many shows that, you know, they are not your traditional Broadway, you know, musical pieces. So I don't know. There was a big article in Wall Street Journal several weeks ago, and I think it was Wall Street Journal, New York Times, I can't remember, but it talked about that very thing of there are not a lot of rules anymore with it, and I'm glad to see. I mean, there are definitely still things that you need to work within a structure of a musical. But I'm glad to see that emotion can play a part too. It's not just about what it's supposed to be. I've never been very good with what it's supposed to be on anything in my life. Anything. So
I think many of us who are entertainers are like that anyway. You know, the creative process is always that way. You know, we don't see, we're cut from a different cloth.
Well, the way I feel, you know, I've always been this way in writing is that if I don't feel it, I can't write it. I have to feel it. I have to feel that moment. I mean, and it just happens everywhere for me. I mean, that the song, you know, that he sings, that Boston sings when he's trying to convince her that he loves her, called On My Knee.
Yes. And do you know what? Oh, my God, Matthew has such beautiful tones in his voice.
Yes, he does.
And being the tenor that he is, I just love perfect round tones like that. I'm a baritone bass, and my tones are not that perfect. And,
that's a sexy song, and that song really, that was the last song that I wrote for the show.
Really?
Yeah, and it's a song that really defines their relationship now, I feel like.
Oh, God, yes. And the way that it's placed in the show, oh, my God. And then it just what you said, it's a very sexy song because he brings out all of his sex appeal in that song, too.
Yeah, because he's trying to con her, he's trying to convince her. And I cannot
exactly.
tell you how many men that I have had to come up to me after that show and say, boy, God, you kill me on my knee song. Yeah, I think because so many men have lived that.
Yes, because they.
Okay,
you've
been a bad boy. You've been a bad boy.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to try to convince you of how much I love you, right?
Right. Okay. Oh Lord. And then.
Because I need to get my woman back in line, so I'm going to convince her of all of these things.
Yes,
And I don't know if you noticed or not, but in the audience, a lot of women were going, "Don't believe that."
I was one of them, honey, because yeah.
Yeah, I had a woman walk up to me. Well, the other night when you were there, a woman walked up to me after the show and said, when that Boston, I just wanted to go up on stage and slap him. And, that's great that people are feeling that involved and in the moment.
Involved with the show, exactly. Yes. Because the show sends us there. It sends us there, and not just with that there is the beauty of the soundtrack to this. Now, I know y'all going in the studio. Y'all have to record this. You have to record this.
Well, we have
you have to.
I'm doing the cast album, not right now, but when we do the cast album, we already have a deal with the Rhino division of Warner's, and we will be doing that. But that will be, once, hopefully, when we're going to our next step, whatever that may be, and hopefully, like I said, it's New York, but we already have that in place. So there will be a cast album. I just don't know when it will be.
Okay, well, we're going to just put that, because I need this. I need it. I need it. You hear me?
Thank you. It makes me so great. You love it. It really does, because you're my new best friend. I just adore you.
Well, thank you, baby, because I am just so in awe with you and your work, honey. I'm telling you, listen to this show. And then, like we said, we're going over stuff that you've done before, and then to know that, see, Patty and Stephanie I love, there's so many of them that I love, but Patty and Stephanie, I call them mother and daughter of R&B music, and they hold the number one slot in my heart simultaneously. And to know that you've worked with those girls, honey, that already has catapulted you into, my
Patty
universe.
And I've been working. I've worked with Patty for over 20 years. Patty LaBelle is an amazing person. She's one of the funniest damn people I've ever met in my life. But she is a genuine, wonderful human being, and I adore her. So yeah, it's been a great journey, and I've just been blessed so much to be able to work with so many great artists. I mean, my God, it's incredible working with Aretha, and I have so much fun with her. And they're all. I mean, when I did the church record, that was kind of a love project of mine, also. Which I'm going to re-release that sometime in 2011, and I'm going to add some more songs to it. And the title of the new CD is going to be Born on Sunday. And it's just been such a great project and so much feedback from it.
Listen, I done wore it out. I bought it twice because I wore out my first one, and I don't know how you wear out a CD, but I did because it started skipping. But I wore that out. Now, dealing with that particular project, because it's good, I get to ask you this because I know, well, naturally, the way the order of it is, honey, to have Jennifer, Patty, and Stephanie back to back like that on the way how the CD was arranged did my heart justice. Okay, but the arrangements of In Vogue when they did How Deep Is Your Love, And I'm going to tell you, Nina Falon, honey, ooh, child. Baby. I didn't know what to do. I was like, are you serious?
But you know what? Did you also? I mean, I love every song on that album, but one of my very favorites is Ann Nesby's A Song for You.
Baby.
That wore me out, and that was the last cut.
Okay.
That's the last thing I cut on that record, and it was done at the last minute. It was done at 11 o'clock at night in my studios in California. But it was probably the most spiritual moment I've ever had in the studio, ever.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
And obviously working with Shirley Caesar and Maya Angelou, and Maya has been like a mentor and a mother to me. And to get her to be able, when I asked her to write, a piece for the opening I did. But then when I was in North Carolina with her, and I asked her, I said, because she'd been singing for me just around the house and stuff, and I said, what could I do to get you to sing something for me on this? And she said, let's go. Let's go to the studio. Let's do it. So to get her to, the way that was cut, when you hear Maya doing that call and response at the end.
Yes.
Okay, this is how that happened. It was very spontaneous. We went to a little, because she'd been singing it for me in the car, and I said, why don't we put that down? And she says, but you mean just like that, just a cappella? And I said, yeah, put it down a cappella, and then I'll take it back to L.A., and then I'll build something around it. And she said, okay. So she went in this little studio, and I think where she does a radio show, I can't remember what else she does there. But we went in, she laid down this call and response piece, just a cappella. I took it back to L.A. I had created this choir for this particular record. It's called the Fire Choir. And they were the best session singers in L.A. I mean, just, those vocal arrangements on that are just incredible.
Yes, they are.
And so the gospel, and I had them stomping, the way they would stomp the beat out on the floor in the studio. All of that happened because that was her singing a cappella, and it's spontaneous, and I just took it back and built that whole piece around it.
Wow.
It was
that creative process, baby.
It was a fun record. It was a fun record.
Oh, but so you can hear it. You hear all of that in there. Denise Graves doing Ave Maria.
That's how the record started. Denise was my original partner on that, because I was working with Denise, and Denise said that one night, she told me a story. She said one night she was coming out, she had just finished a show at the Metropolitan Opera in New York. And when she came off stage and she was backstage, this little boy comes up to her. She said he was about 7 or 8 years old, and he said, he told her he enjoyed the show, and he said, Miss Grace, I have a question for you. And she said, well, what is that? And he said, did you grow up singing in the church? And she said, nobody had ever asked her that question. And she said, she had to think about it, and she went, well, as a matter of fact, honey, she said, yeah, I did. Why? And he stood up tall, and he said, because Miss Graves, he said, I hear church in your voice. And that's where the idea came from. And I said, oh, my God, to get together all of these great, beautiful, amazing, talented out the wazoo women that I have worked with, to get them to come together and create this record that the sole purpose, Meech, behind this record was I wanted to create a record about spirituality, that not about spirituality, but felt spiritual without beating you over the head. And that a record, so that's why I took everybody from the authentic lives that they live. So in other words, if Denise Graves was opera and classical, then I'm going to do something operatic and classical on her. If Shirley Caesar was really, because because Shirley obviously is gospel, is the only one that did a literal
gospel. Yes, yep.
Which was His Eyes on the Sparrow. But
His Eyes on the Sparrow, that's
like
it.
Jennifer Holliday doing, The Wonder of You, or In Vogue doing How Deep Is Your Love. What we did is every single artist on that record grew up singing in the church because they had to be on the record. I mean, that was a prerequisite.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, I wanted the lyrics to be that you could listen to that, and it could either talk to you, it could be speaking to you about God, or it could be speaking to you about love. But the lyrics, the lyrics would work either way. But the main objective is I had created a gospel choir to add that gospel tie into it to back up these secular songs, but at the same time, most importantly, what I wanted is that people that would walk into a record store at that time or buy a CD that would never, ever pick up a gospel record would pick this up, and they would know what church felt like or what spirituality felt like.
And for me, because I'm one who listens to music that way anyway. As a matter of fact, I do that on Facebook. I would take songs, and I've been doing this. I call it the Learning to Love Myself catalog. And I take songs and I say, instead of singing this to your boo, honey, sing these lyrics to yourself and learn how to love yourself. And that whole church project this was like a precursor to what it is that I do, because I've always listened to music like that, to where there is a connection there, and it speaks to more than just the person, but it has to speak to the spirit. That's what moves you. And when we heard all these different songs on here, I was absolutely just impressed, and for Patty Austin to redo "You Gotta Be."
Oh yeah, that was hot. That was hot.
Ain't that?
Well, did you see that? Did you come to the show that Debbie and I? Debbie and I took that record, and we did a show at the Phillips Arena 2 years ago called "Songs of Soul and Inspiration," and that was taken from that record. And Debbie created. She directed it and created the dance for it and everything, and we saw the Phillips Arena out. Did you happen to? You didn't happen to go to that?
No. I missed that.
But we'll eventually take it back on tour.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
See, that kind of stuff there. Debbie and I were talking about that yesterday, about just having it move, and how music and everything just connects, and how dance is just that. It takes you into these regions and into these places to where it's more than just the tangible right now, because everything is infinite. And when you're out there, honey, everything is just so accessible with the omniverse. And that kind of stuff just sends me, and that's how I love to get lost in music and in anybody's work, honey, who touches me, because what you guys are doing and this collaboration with you two, and taking this and taking a twist to where it is, and all of the other works that we know you for, to build you to this particular point here. All of your previous work got you to this point here. And now in this time and space, this is where we're dealing with race relations. And since President Obama has taken office, we can no longer sweep it up under the rug. See, race relations have been swept up under the rug. And, as long as it's not, the black folks are the only ones talking right now, so, we could sweep that under the rug, and some of the white folks would get upset, and, but we could sweep that under the rug or whatever. But now here we have the whole power structure has shifted. And here we have a president who is African-skinned, but is biracial, a mulatto, or whatever term we want to use, because he's encompassing everything. And so now we have to deal with it in all of its ugliness and all of its truth. And this is the season for it, because a lot of the stuff that we have never seen is starting to surface. And
this is the season. And I think that if we don't, complacency, I think, is worse than being, kind of like what it says in the Bible. I mean, if you if you're going to be lukewarm, I'd rather just spit you out of my mouth, right?
Exactly.
I mean, you got to choose, and you got to decide to make a difference. But to be lukewarm, and I feel like, if anything, that complacency is what will kill us. And I just feel like that there is an urgency for all of us to use our God-given talents and to make a difference and try to make a difference. It doesn't have to be. I mean, whether it's in just saying something each day, or not letting something be swept under the rug, or not, being, just trying to make a difference in everything that you do and everything you say. And I just feel like with this show that God is going to really, really use this. And to me, if that's what comes of this, then I have achieved everything, because that's what I feel. I feel like there is a purpose for it. I feel like it is the one thing that I can do, that is through my music and through my voice and through my soul and my pain, that I have seen and experienced, and the change that I have wanted to see with the racial issues in America, that I just pray that I can make one tiny grain of difference, and that would be through my music. And, no further ado, that's what it's about.
Exactly. I am in such awe of everything. I came back. I don't know. I didn't see you last night, because I came back last night. I brought friends with me last night to see the show again, and I'm coming back.
Oh, great. Well, I hope you do. I'll be there tonight, and if you're there, I'll be there every night from now on. I have to confess, I played hooky last night. It was the first time I had missed the show, but I just had so many things to take care of back in L.A., and I said, well, if there's one night I'm going to miss, it's tonight. But, as you saw, we're still nipping and tucking and doing little things here and there. I'll change a lyric here and there, because after you watch it so many times, you start saying, well, yeah, I can say that a little bit different, or yeah, I can make that 4 bars shorter. But I just I hope that people, when they walk out of this show, can A, feel like they've been on an emotional roller coaster, B, have more unconditional love in their heart, and C, want to go and make a change. And this is, as you know, this is not any kind of preachy show, so I don't want anybody to think that. This is a story with a twist of Oliver Twist. But it is about unconditional love. And as Maya Angelou would say, we're more alike than we are different. And that's the legacy that I would hope that I could leave. So come on down to the Alliance Theater in Atlanta, Georgia. And we're running through October the 3rd, and we're selling out, so you better come get your tickets, correct, Meech? Exactly. And speaking of the theater, Miss Debbie's going to whip my behind. I got to get down there.
Oh, you got to get, I'm sorry. Oh, my God, yeah.
Don't be sorry, honey. I got to get down to her.
I know y'all didn't, yes, I know, because I talked to the cast members last night, and they were like, we got to be back here at noon and this, that, and the other. Let me get you off this thing.
All right. Well, I love you. And
oh, my God, I'm sorry.
You have just been a blessing. It's been a blessing to meet you, and thank you for all the support with the show.
Oh, baby, thank you for your work, and thank you for being you. And then also, just on a personal note, as a person who is of the LGBT community, honey, who has the success that you have and is able to work and be a force to be reckoned with in this business, and a sought-after producer and writer, that encourages me along my journey in this business as well, to do what I need to do. So thank you, honey, for being that trailblazer and doing what you do.
All right. Love you. Take care.
All right. Love you. I'll see you again. All right. Bye-bye. Lord, I'm going to talk to this woman, and then, please, child, they got to go to work. And so do I. I got to go make the donuts at 5 o'clock today. So I won't be down there tonight. I wanted to go see it again. But I can't get down there tonight because I'm tied up for the weekend. But the show officially opens on September 15th. That's the official opening night. And I think there's going to be the press night and this, that, and the other. So if you guys want to come out and, you know, do red carpet type of you know, being around the theater and things of that nature, honey, this is the time to do it. They have a phenomenal cast, child. These children, y'all got to come and see the children, honey, okay, because the acting is phenomenal. The dancing is phenomenal. They have incredible voices. This show here, it is going to give you and take you through an emotional roller coaster. Okay, it's going to give you your highs, your lows, your funnies, your not so funnies. It's going to make you, you know, clench up a little bit because it's a period piece where you're dealing with racism and carrying on, and then to know that you're dealing with children and how people can be cruel to children and this, that, and the other. It takes you through that, and it takes you through it, and it's a wonderful, wonderful piece, and you need to come and see what this is all about. The costuming is absolutely fantastic. So come on out. It's at the Alliance Theater in the Woodruff Arts Center right here in Atlanta, Georgia. So for more information, you can go to the Alliance Theater and you can give them a call. Let me see if I can find the phone number real quickly. But if not, you can Google it, Alliance Theater Atlanta, and find out more information about that, or go to the box office and find out your ticket information and all of that. But it's a wonderful show, and y'all know I'm harping on it because I love it, and like I said, I've been there twice already, and I'm going back. So with that, my darlings, thank you all for your time and for dishing tea with Big Meech, okay? With that, I'm going to leave you now to have your day, and we'll talk again real soon, okay? Join me again coming Wednesday. Well, just check your messages. I got to Solidify Wednesday. I thought I had it in I wrote it in pencil. We haven't inked it yet. So just check your emails, check my Facebook page. Go to Dishing Tea on Facebook. Dishing Tea with Big Meech on Facebook. You can Twitter me at BigMeech1. You can email me at dishingteawithbigmeech@gmail.com. and find out all the latest information, okay? So until the next time that we meet, honey, you have a fantastic